Welcome to Moment Talk. I'm your host, Chee Now. On episode 44, we have a gentleman that is a hardcore sportsman. On top of that, he is the lead guitar of Sudden Rush, man. He's played with other bands too, but we all know him on stage with all blacked out black jeans, black leather jacket, a slick back mohawk. Well, guess who that gentleman is? That's Chee Nou. On top of that, Sudden Rush just started making guitar lessons, or they teach how to play guitar on their YouTube channel. Check it out. But first, let's thank our sponsors, and I'm excited to get right back into it. Are you looking for the latest Hmong-inspired menswear? Well, look no further. She sells menswear, makes suit accessories, apparels, and you can find them at www.xixomenswear.com. Yo, everyone, we are super excited today. We got a guitarist today, man. Out of which band? I wonder who. Someone classic? Are we guessing other bands out there? But guess what? I'm a huge fan. I've been to their show quite a few times, and I love watching these guys play live. In front of us, we got a guy who's always wearing all black leather, mohawk, slick back cut. This guy's very young. He is Chee Nou from Sudden Rush, man. How's it going in Vancouver, man?
Hey, what's up? Doing good out here, yeah.
Awesome, dude. Man, I've seen you guys play very often live, and I enjoy the show. Just seeing you guys jamming it out, man.
Yeah, glad you can make it out. We're pretty excited to be able to come back to the U.S. and get some shows going and put out a couple more albums since the first one, and just kind of keep the whole movement going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys just launched another last one, and the recording was great by a guest that was on here. Was super sang, and and you and the team just jamming it out. Love the music video. Love you guys just jamming it out there. But Chee Nou, tell us one thing that we do not know about you.
You know about me? Oh man, I don't know. I think everybody kind of knows. Yeah, I'm pretty simplistic. But if people don't know yet, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. If anything, that's probably what people don't really know. I still get a lot of questions on where we're from, but yeah, Vancouver, Canada, we're Canadian. Yes, there's Hmong people and Canadians, and we live in houses too. No igloos here.
No igloos? No, really? No polar bears, nothing?
Nothing, man. Nothing.
And Vancouver's about an hour and a half from Seattle, correct?
Yeah, Vancouver is about an hour and a half north of Seattle. We're right on the other side of the Canada-USA border there, right on the coast.
Would that be about 4 or 5 hours to Portland?
Yeah, that's about 5 hours to Portland. Yeah. If
Cool.
you're fast, you can probably get there in about 3.5, 4. But
We condone speeding,
depends,
but
right?
yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah, exactly.
And that's probably a good old, 12-hour drive to Fresno?
Oh man, yeah, I've done the Fresno Drive a couple times. So
No
you're probably looking at
way!
yeah. It's probably you're probably looking at about a good solid day to get there.
And that's how I saw you guys, yeah, and Fresno playing at New Year, seeing you guys live in Twin City when you guys come up here with the team. Love it, man. So Chee Nou, I got a question for you, man. What is the future of the Hmong music industry?
Well, it's still evolving as far as I know. I can only say it based on my experience and what I've gone through with this whole thing, and it's come a long way since we started going way back in 2007, 2008 there. So at that time, this generation that we're playing with now, everyone is still kind of rising up, and it was still the older generation, handling all the business. So it was kind of that old style, and there was not much of the industry going on. But now you have your record labels coming out and promoting artists, and people are kind of more experienced that are actually in the industry, the actual real music industry, and they know, you know, you know, um, what to do as far as the process of bringing, an international act like us over, where visas are going to be required and all that kind of shebang. Yeah, it's going great, and we just the only we can do is keep it going and keep supporting one another.
Awesome. Let's all do that. And there was quite a few, even through pandemic. There's quite a few live, Facebook live shows, man.
Yeah.
I you seeing guys like Pump in Paradise and ZP, other great artists that came on too. I love these guys. See you guys on as well too. And
Yeah, I'd love to
yeah,
be part of it one day. We've been watching all the concerts too at home here, 'cause there's no Hmong people here, and we love being on the road and playing for everybody. So, the next best thing to do is, yeah, keep up with everyone and join in on the festivities, whether it's virtual or we can be there in person. And it's good. It's good. So whatever they're doing down there, we support it.
awesome, awesome, dude. In your opinion, can Hmong artists make a living in the music industry?
At this particular point in time, I don't see that really happening yet. The market is just not quite there as far as making a living. I myself actually work in the music industry myself, aside from the Hmong music industry slash community that we got. It's just not big enough. If you're just gonna tour North America and put music out in North America, it's not gonna fully feed you, But the thing is with music nowadays, everything is being done digitally. So the only way that you can actually make a living off of this is touring, right? Nowadays, when people order or they buy songs, they don't really buy the albums anymore. It doesn't work like how it did 10 years ago, where you would go to um, J Fourth or Fresno New Year's and pick up, your best, your most favorite. We still do that. There's still people that do a lot of that, but most of the stuff that I've seen come in, as far as looking at our statistic, is that everyone is more purchasing singles, online via iTunes or Spotify now. So the best thing to do is to get out there and tour, but at the same time, we don't have that many people in the U.S. or North America to actually make a living out of that touring.
And this pandemic is not really helping that
That's
situation.
not helping at all. Yeah, it's not helping at all too. This year's a write off for anybody. Uh, I know that a lot of artists were planning, some big things this year. Right? I can't say who, but yeah, everybody talking to within the music community, the artists. There's a lot of people planning some big things this year, and we were all rooting for them. But you just never know what's gonna happen, and something like this happens. On top of that, everything else, after that too. So this year, just call it a write-off. Yeah.
Whether you're a small band or a massive, huge name brand, you guys all the same struggle. There's no live shows. Period.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if
Exactly.
you're big or
Everybody
small.
struggles.
Yeah.
Everyone struggles the same. Everybody wants to play. The main thing I believe for the artist is playing, getting out there, meeting the fans, and just putting the best show that we can and having fun with that. So we can't do that this year, then everyone's um, kind of on the downside. But they got there's quite a few of us as far as artists, so everyone just kind of shares ideas, and the whole virtual concert thing, that made a huge impact from what I can see. All the viewers, that's probably the most viewers I've seen, more than the concert that we've done. It could be
Hey
it could be
man,
a good thing. It
it's
could,
a free fun show right in front
is
of
it?
you.
Yeah, it's free, so that could play a big part in it too, right? So maybe that's something that we could think about too. Maybe once in a while we throw a free show and just have fun, give back a little bit. Right?
I love that. I love that. You mentioned about the music industry. Can you elaborate more about your career in that?
Yeah, yeah. So I've been working in the music industry for about 5 going 6 years now. I manage a music store out here in Vancouver. It's a small brick and mortar store, so mom and pop style. But with that, it didn't seem like much when you think about it, just that outer shell. But within that business is all the different levels that you deal with, as far as um, bringing in the product and learning from the guys inside that business that are the next level up, as far as the salesman that deals with us, but then they also deal with the guys inside the business, knowing what's going on, what's new for this year, what is in, what's going to happen next year, what are we planning for. So yeah, that really plays a big part, because we are the last, like I where I stand is right in the retail part. I'm kind of in between the retail and actual distribution of the products. So that goes from there. It goes out to consumers such as the musician. So I kind of get to see what's going on behind the scenes and then what's going on out there because I have that experience of playing shows and touring as well, but I also have the experience of the business side of it inside the music industry as well.
Man, with that being said, you're learning a lot about the business side of things then.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot, and it's hugely due to who I work with at the work, right? The owners. I'm actually the only employee there at the store there, and aside from the teachers who are contractors, but the owners, they've really taught me a lot over the years. As far as business and running the business and handling all the upper guys because they've also had that background from other industries as well as far as purchasing. Kind of digging deep. Knowing your way to kind of dig a little bit when you need answers.
I mean, Vancouver's not too far from Seattle. At one point, Seattle was a very, very, very huge music industry, and that's kind of back where, how would be safe to say, late '90s or so, where Nirvana came around, which kind of began the sub pop of music. Kind of they're like the founding fathers of it. You guys are not too far from that, and it's amazing that you're running a store now. Besides that, you're guitaring on a day-to-day base too.
Right. Yeah. I try to, a lot of the Seattle scene poured into Vancouver as well because Vancouver was also a big hub. It's the only hub on the West Coast here as far as Canadian music is concerned. So a lot of the Seattle artists, like Nirvana and Alice in Chains, like grunge, that grunge era. Even the local hair bands at that time, Seattle was a huge hub for them to come up and play. Some of the more notable venues here in Vancouver too. So it really played a big part, and we kind of have that in our DNA as well as far as being a band.
I'm surprised you're young enough to know what the word grunge is.
Yeah, when you're surrounded by music your whole life, and working in the industry and seeing all these guys and just learning the book through the years, yeah, you kind of learn everything. And I
Um,
believe, and I went through a phase of everything as well, right? So I grew up, you know, um, listening to hair metal a lot back in the days. My brothers, before I was even, walking, they were already playing in bands when they were teen. Well before I even started playing. So I used to hear, those '80s bands all the time. And then when I started playing, in about the fifth grade, then I started getting introduced into all these other stuff, like even stuff as far as back as the classic stuff, like the Beatles, all the way up to grunge and the new stuff today.
that brings me to the next question. You said fifth grade. No, so now, at what age did you start playing the guitar?
Yeah, so my memory serves right. I started playing when I was about 10 or 11. So yeah, about fifth grade. Fifth grade. I kind of was in and out of it um, during the younger years, but I was always around because my brothers always. We lived in this back in the day. We lived in this like town complex apartments. There was a couple of vacant units, and my brothers and my uncle would always be jamming in there because they were the Hmong New Year band. Back in the
Late
80s and
90s, 90s,
yeah,
yeah.
the late '90s. Hmong New Year was way different than it was now. You went to the New Year and then you had the night party at the end, free, and everybody's went and had a good time, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone had a good time. We would go meet girls would come and meet guys, exchange phone numbers, no emails, no MSN, nothing yet. So
The
I was
struggle
always
is
around.
real.
Yeah, the struggle was real. You would send a letter out, and later you get another letter back, and right. So
Dude,
I was not part of that, but I would see that a lot with the brothers, and they would practice every day because they
I,
they played a lot in Seattle. Yeah,
I would honestly write a note and then tie it to a pigeon and like bird whisper, choo choo choo, and then have the
yeah,
pigeon fly off and send it to the
yeah,
girl.
yeah.
Because
We were
nowadays the
we were.
DDC is a little bit different. What a simple text.
It is, yeah, yeah, and you know, to be frank, we were probably just a little bit ahead of that. Actually, that pigeon thing. We're just a little bit, just far enough, ahead of that. But that was really the scene. I was always around them, the brothers playing music. So I kind of developed a good ear for music as far as sound and you know tuning and stuff like that. So that kind of came natural to me when I started playing.
You mentioned your brother. Was that what that led you to inspired in it?
Yeah, that
Okay.
they were a huge part in it for sure, definitely. Uh, when they were teenagers, my uncle uh, is my dad's younger brother. He in the '80s they were in a band in Toronto or Kitchener rather, which is Ontario. Um, and in their teens, they played in a band. And then when he moved to British Columbia here, um, he wanted to start up a band. So there was nobody here. There was only like the, the kids here. There was only like right now, there's only about 20 Hmong families in Vancouver. But at that time, there was probably like 10 or 12, maybe 15 at the max. So didn't have anyone else to start a band with, so he threw a bunch of teenagers together, and they happened to be my brothers, right? So they got a band going, and they started playing within the first few months, right? First gig was Seattle that same year that they started playing in. Just kind of went from there, yeah. So at that time it was Cam, which is our bass player now. He's the second oldest brother, and then Roger, who's the drummer, third oldest brother. And they've always been playing since 94, 95 already.
Since we're talking about band and how it came about, are you one of the original members of Sudden Rush?
I am. Yep, I
You,
am. I'm one of the original three members. So the original members is Pat, Joe, who's the other guitarist, and then myself.
how did you become the Sudden Rush member? Just because you're like, we picked you, you're pretty good at it, or just because you're the brother? I mean, how does this come
I
about?
think I think I was the only one that had time on my hands as a kid. So I just got dragged into it. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I thought we were just going to jam, and it turned out to be nothing like what I thought it was gonna be. You know, I thought that we were just gonna go in, write a song because we were bored. I didn't. Never would have thought that we'd be touring the U.S. Year after
Well,
year, tours and putting out albums, and at one point becoming one of the biggest bands, biggest song bands. It was definitely out of my expectations, but yeah, nothing that I would have foreseen.
so is there any music or song that you're working on?
As of right now, I am currently working with um, not Sun Rush. I'm actually working with another artist right now. I can't say who
That's
who
fine.
who they are. I'm gonna let them present that, but I'm working on a couple things with that artist right now.
Would you consider that an upcoming potential performance that you be playing with them when you guys do
Potentially,
toured? Yeah.
yeah, but potentially it will lead to that. I hope so. Uh, great person to work with, great artist as well. Um, you'll be very familiar with him as well. Everyone's very familiar with
Okay.
him. Yeah, just some good stuff. It's just another thing to keep the band motivated as well, right? When you do something the same for so long, it's good to kind of just turn off and take a detour for a little bit and then come back regenerated and re-energized and get back to your main thing.
Since we're on the topic about pandemics and stuff too, how has your performance or gigs changed due to what we're having to do now?
Um, I can't really say because we didn't really have anything planned yet for this year. We did eventually squeeze. Well, we ended up squeezing that one last show there for Hmong Nouveau back in February, but that was just as the pandemic was not quite going crazy, but it was starting up. So no lockdown yet. So we were able to squeeze that in, but that was really the only plan that we had for this year. My brother Joe, him and his wife were expecting their first child this year, so we were already expecting this year to kind of be a write-off.
Awesome, a new member.
New member of the family, yes.
So how do you stay motivated during this pandemic?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good question. That's a very good question. Thankfully for me, I can't say the same for the other artists, but for myself, because I work in the music industry, that's really what keeps me motivated. Meeting all the different artists every day that come through, big or small, local musicians, listening to their stories, and that's really what motivates me. And just seeing all the kids come in for the lessons and watching them, you know, gain gain the knowledge and skills that I never had growing up. I never had that opportunity growing up. So that's really the motivation. Just seeing these kids that actually want to do it and getting that support as well.
That's great, man. So Who was like? Wait. You mentioned your brother Joel, and when is the baby due?
The baby's already a month old now.
He's a month old. Oh,
Yeah, a month old already. Yeah, just a little over a month now, a month and a week or something like that. Yeah.
oh, congrats! To that like yelling, yapping, and jumping around already.
Yeah, everyone's spoiling her. We haven't had a newborn in the family for 6 years, so the new one's quite exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah, and
Do you
it's their
think you'll
first
be?
too.
It's
Yeah,
the first one, right?
it's their first one. They've been trying really hard too, so that's why it's very we're kind of just letting them be right now, letting them do their thing.
So now, who was a role model for you growing up?
For me growing up, man, that's a tough one. We didn't have really many things going for us here in Vancouver, so I'd say the biggest role models were the family that we had here, right? Having the same 10, 12, 15 Hmong families, all these kids growing up together, that we grew up together with, still to today, and my brothers. I think that they were the biggest role models growing up. We didn't have anything else, right?
Okay. Is there a band out there that you like their style, the way they play? It could be a makeup Hmong band. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Name your top five then.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, growing up, as far as music is concerned, inspirational music, we weren't. I was never really exposed to the any Hmong bands or artists that I could remember, right? There was a few that my dad would listen to back in the day. Everyone's had friends that would listen to a certain cassette tape back in the day. You had artists like Lu Ya. Everybody's got at least one album of his. I know it. There was also artists like Mai Mo and Ying Mo and the bands like Peng Yu and those guys, the classic bands from the 80s. As far as I know, that's what I knew growing up. That's what I remember listening to growing up. It wasn't until a little bit later, and I was already a few years into, we were already starting Sun and Rush, that I discovered bands like the Sounders, Reflections, and Mahlu and Thing and Blackbone, all those guys. And I was like, oh my God, there is guys out there like us, right? There's people out there like us too, bands, modern day bands too, and that really inspired us.
Is there an American like band that I
Yeah,
would hear have you
absolutely.
when you're driving to work or you in
Yeah,
your
no,
earbuds?
absolutely.
What would I hear on your earbud? If I look at your iTunes, what would I
Yeah,
listen?
yeah. So the very first band that got me into playing guitar, that made me want to go like, yeah, like that's what I want to do, is the band called the Scorpions. They're from
Okay.
Germany. Yeah, the Scorpions.
Yes, I know
My
them.
brothers used to listen to them all the time, and yeah, just listening to that really, that's really what really made me decide that, uh, that's what I want to do. I want to play that kind of music, whatever that is. I don't know what that's called, but that guitar solo sounds cool. I started playing guitar solos first because my hands were big enough to do chords yet, so I was already learning solos. I was already learning my brother's bands, like their bands, guitar solos before I was even learning the chords
At
and
what
and
age was
stuff.
this?
So, uh, uh probably about 10, 11.
Wow.
Yeah, I already, because I was always, the top ball, and I was running around as they were jamming. So I already knew, like, okay, that's what the guitar solo should sound like. That's what it should sound like. It was just a matter of finding those notes on the guitar. As far as I can remember, it came pretty quick. And by the time I knew it, they threw me on stage with them, without even practicing with them. And I think I must have nailed the guitar solos note for note, but it
Well,
was
of
a long time
course,
ago. I
that's why
never
you're
went back.
part of the
I never,
member. Not that you're
yeah,
their brother. If you're not good, like,
yeah,
bro, you kind of suck. I think you should play soccer
yeah.
then.
And I've been in the band ever since. This was probably the first time I played with them, was probably 2002, 2002 or 2003, around that time at the Hmong New Year, the local Hmong New Year here. And that
Besides the
was just a little kid.
Scorpions,
Yeah.
is there any besides that?
Yeah, yeah. There's quite a few bands, but the big ones that I can name, the Scorpions is definitely number one as far as I know, because they were the ones that really, that I can remember back in the day. Number two is probably Def Leppard. Def Leppard's a huge, huge, huge inspiration to Sun Rush. When you listen to our music, um, the concept that we use is, a lot of it's inspired by Def Leppard. As far as, like, putting the music together, layering the music, adding the little stuff in between the notes and stuff like that. That's really Def Leppard inspired. Me and Joe, the whole band, we're really into that. I've seen them probably like 3 times that they come to Vancouver now. Um, Huge, huge, huge band. And as far as vocals and stuff too, background vocals, we were huge on that too. After seeing Def Leppard, it's like everybody's on top of what they're playing, they're also using their voice as an instrument too. Every single band member. So
You say you see
you know,
them 3 times live?
I've seen them 3 times, and they've come to Vancouver.
Is that the most of any band?
The most of any band, yeah, that I've seen. So
Man,
I
I
went
bet
I
you
went to
were
see them. Yeah.
you were fangirling for sure.
Oh yeah. I was like up on the seats. I'm pretty sure the security told me to get down a couple of times. I was like, I would stand on the bleacher seat. Yeah. And yeah, just seeing them live, it's like, man, they sound like exactly like they do on their
Yeah,
album when they
seems
play
like
live.
you're mentioning 80s, 90s. We got Scorpion, we got Def Leppard.
Yeah, Def Leppard.
Who else?
Yeah, and Guns N' Roses was a huge one growing up as well. Um, these are just bands that I would hear, like that my brothers would listen to, those kind of bands. So those three bands, you know, and then all the other ones in between too, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, AC/DC is huge. Of course, Metallica. I went through a Metallica phase, like every other guitarist. We all went through a Metallica phase. Once in a while, we'll still rip a Metallica, riff. And all those bands in that genre, right?
Anything new? New
Yeah,
age.
a lot of new stuff. Right now, I'm really into a band called Trivium. They're like a really heavy metal band, a lot of growling stuff, but it's the musicality that is at what I'm listening to. It's not so much what you listen to. I don't know what the listeners listen to. Everyone's got a different way of listening to music, but for me, as a musician, I'm listening to like that's pretty freaking cool what they're doing. Pretty darn cool. I like that. I like the guitar stuff that's going on and the way you know, everything works together. Um, so yeah, I'm really into them right now. Yeah, lately me and Joe have been listening to a lot of the heavy stuff, but then you have the soft stuff too that really came out in the mid 2000s, well early 2000s to the mid 2000s. Bands like Lifehouse, Three Doors Down, Nickelback, um, all those bands in that genre. They were all huge. Yeah, like I said, I went through a phase of everything. I did a little bit of everything, and I think that kind of formed me into what I do today.
All those that you mentioned are, in my era. And
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I've not seen all those bands. I'm aware of all those bands. And just to share a little bit, the only one I've been to uh, is I'm glad I went to Lincoln Park.
Uh-huh.
Before Chester passed away. I'm glad I saw that live.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Great
saw
band.
really, really, really heavy metal. Have you ever heard of Motorhead? Like super heavy
Yeah, yep,
metal. So
yep.
I saw
I've heard
them
of
live.
Motorhead.
I got a free ticket for that. But those are the only two,
Nice.
and I love to go to see more.
Yeah, yeah. It's great, man. Like I've seen Poison. Um, yeah, we went to a show in Vancouver. It was Def Leppard, Poison, and Tesla, and that was a pretty good
Three
show.
of them?
Uh, yeah, three of those bands together. Yeah, Def Leppard was a headliner. You had Poison as the band in the middle, and you had Tesla opening, which is great. What I like about these big bands too, is when it's just them, they come around. They have a few of the smaller bands opening up for them, and that's a great thing to expose these well known, but they need a little bit of the extra push, to a new generation of listeners, right? Or a new different market of listeners. So that's a pretty cool thing. But the best concert I've probably been to that I could remember would be, it was a metal concert too. It was Breaking Benjamin, awesome band,
Hmm.
love those guys. Um, Breaking Benjamin, Bullet for My Valentine, they were the middle band. No, they were the opener, and the headliner was Avenged Sevenfold. I
Hmm.
think I think that was a pretty darn cool concert. Yeah, it could because probably because it was the younger generation of listeners like myself. You when you go to Def Leppard, you see people like all the fans are probably as old as their parents,
And or
and you
me,
kind of
yeah,
mix it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you have anyone from the younger kids all the way to that generation. Bands like Avenged Sevenfold, most of them are like us.
How did music change your life, if any?
Oh man, I think it saved me from a lot of stuff. I think that without music, I don't know, I couldn't see myself doing anything else besides music. It's just what I've always started doing as a little kid. Like I said, I started at 10 years old. That's all that I focused on. Every day from the first day I started picking up guitar, I put in like 5, 6, 7 hours every day after school to play. To the point where it's like past midnight and my mom would have to come and knock on the door, tell me to shut up, go sleep, kind of thing, right? And I never did. I was never that great in school. I was never good in school at all. Um, and probably if you track my school record, I probably have a pretty bad attendance record too, because I was always spending my time at the music store. Everyone thought I was, more light or something. But I was always at the music store doing that, killing time, or at the library, on my laptop looking at music videos on YouTube, right?
When you're passionate about it, nothing's gonna kill it, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was all I had going for me, right? And then that's what everybody knew me as. You saw me in high school, I'd always have a guitar, and I'd show up for a minute and then I'd be gone, either playing the guitar at the park or just doing things. But that's what I did. That's really, really all that I did. And yeah, that's all I know, really. Besides,
So,
there's another thing that I do aside from that too.
such as,
Like I'm an outdoorsman, so I do a lot of hunting and fishing as well. Um, but I couldn't go do any of that on my own until the later years when I started driving.
uh, hunting, bow or gun,
Gun,
fishing, fly or baitcaster,
spinning, man, spinning all the way.
spinning.
Yeah, we have different, certain times or certain kinds of fish, we will use fly or bait caster as well. But just fishing trout, at the local lakes is all just spinning bottom fishing. I can go on and on about that too. That's a whole nother love
You
too.
and I could talk about all of that.
We
I'm
can
a
talk
huge
about it.
fly fisher.
We
I'm
can
a
we can
huge fly fisherman too. Yes,
we
I
can
could talk.
totally do
Oh, it's a
that.
whole
But
other episode. Let's
yeah,
not
that's
go
a
in that
whole nother
rabbit hole.
episode.
Yeah, let's
That's
not
correct.
go
Yeah.
that rabbit hole. Anyhow, uh, what is the biggest obstacle you over? What is the biggest obstacle you overcome during the time with the band, whether it was
I
with
think
Sun and Rush
yeah,
or with your upcoming one?
yeah. The biggest obstacle for sure uh, was during our little hiatus that we had there uh, back in 2010, 2011. So for you listeners that have been following us for that long, you might remember, but we kind of disappeared for a couple years, just out of nowhere, right? It just came out of nowhere. So if you don't know the story yet, um, so the truth was that we were on our way to Fresno. We were headlining a Fresno show. This was during we had a tour going on. It was in support of the first album. So we were already doing shows for that 2 years already, and the last show was in Fresno. We just finished the show in I believe it was Wausau, Wisconsin. Probably one of the biggest shows we've ever done. It's probably like 3,000 people there. Great show, and we were gearing up for that. So at that time, like if you remember earlier in the podcast here, I was talking about how the older generation, how they handled the business was a little bit different than the new promoters now, such as Yellow Diamond and Michigan and Evolution Records. It's a little bit different at that time. So at that time, as far as getting a band across, no one really knew much. We were young, we were starving for just getting shows in and getting our name out there. So we were doing whatever it took to come down there and play. And like John Low, didn't really know the process too of getting an international band. Everyone thought that it was okay to just come across the border and play. Like, what's the big deal, right? Nobody knew that is a huge business in the real world, right? It's a huge industry, and there is something to be made from that. Um, but as a Hmong community, not really about that, right? We just want to come by, help each other. Everyone knows that term as far as being engineered. Shipasana, like pa, just help us a little bit with whatever you can, right? As far as accommodations and tickets. So, anyways, um, yeah, so we were doing that, and on the way to cross the border, um, yeah, on the way to cross the border, Cam, Joe, and Roger, they already made it. They already made it across to the border. We went in two separate cars, so they already made it. They went in their own vehicle, and they made it to the airport already. It's just me, Pat, and another sister of mine. And we went and yeah, we just ended up not making it through, you know. And we ended up paying the ultimate price for that by getting a 5-year ban, you know, from entering the US. So that's kind of what happened there. And it was me and Pat that got barred, you know, for the 5 years. So there was not much that we could have done. And that was the biggest setback for us because we were on the rise, getting, you know, coming up as a band and getting, you know, quite popular at that time. There was not as many Hmong bands or as many artists yet at that time. So, you know, like we were one of the top, you know, artists at that time.
Own it,
Um,
dude. Own it. You guys should.
yeah, yeah, and that's really what happened. So, you know, after we got the bar, there's nothing that we could have done. If you try to challenge it, or if you lose, you can get a lifetime bar. And the brothers, you know, it was too risky for the brothers because all their wives came from the U.S. So, you know, we just left it at that for a couple of years, kind of toughed it out. Wrote music, wrote music over the years, and just really kept it going, really, you know. And then I had to keep myself occupied, so I joined a local band here or a local artist here in Vancouver, um, and just kind of did that for a couple years, right? Until the band decided that we want to put the second album out. So that's kind of what we did.
Wow, dude, that is a major setback. But you know what? It's a good and bad in my opinion because that setback made us, myself included, want to be seeing you guys even more.
Yeah,
So I kind of say it would be as you guys were exclusive. You get what I'm saying? Like,
right, right,
so it's good and bad if you think about it. Where yeah, it might have been a setback, but it was just like someone exclusive coming into your town to play and just like I will pay. I don't care if it's $2 or $200 to get in there and watch you guys. So
right.
in my honest opinion, it was totally worth the wait.
Yeah,
Whether you guys, you and Pat was in that situation, but
right.
having to understand that us as a band will we'll be patient, no matter what the situation was, whether we know it or not. I'm pretty sure a lot of listeners may not know that at all, but that
Right.
was the situation at the time, which none of us could do nothing about it.
Yeah, there's nothing that anyone could have done about that. Yeah, the promoters were pretty upset, but you know, it is what it was at that time. But at the same time, like you said, you know, it was a true testament of the band and the fans too. You know, we could have just said, you know what, let's just call it quits. You know, call it quits. There's no point, you know, to continue, right? 5 years. By the time we come back, you know, the fans have moved on already, right? But the fans, you know, stuck by our sides throughout the years too. You know, every year we still got calls to go. When HMF was coming up, you know, we would get calls to go and do the shows too. But you know, we turned down so many shows over the years, and it was just hard to explain why. You know, to everybody. You know, the same story over and over. Just imagine saying the same story to everybody. You know, I don't know, multiple times a month for 5 years, right? So, but it was a true testament of the fans, and everyone had our backs the whole time. So that's really prompted us to get that second album out as soon as we were able to come back. That's what we did.
I see. And well, I look forward. The latest album was pretty dope. The music video was awesome, and I look forward to hearing more from you. And you said you were on to another band too. Now Chee Nou, let's go back a few more years back. Let's go back about 6 years. I see you
Mhm.
jamming out with another band out there, right?
That's right. So that was what I was doing during our little hiatus here with Sunrush. Um, there was a singer songwriter from Australia, and she had made Vancouver her home for that couple years that I was playing with her. Um, and I didn't, you know, at the lowest point in as far as music goes for me, I didn't know what to do, right, with what we were gonna do, because I really wanted to do the Sunrush thing, but there's nothing we could have done um, to continue as a band at that time. So I figured, you know what? This is before working in the music industry too. So I did not work at the store yet. So I didn't have anything going for me, right? So instead of stopping and just, you know, letting it rest for a couple of years, I told myself, you know, let's go find a band in Vancouver. Let's start up a band in Vancouver. and I'm gonna go and experience the local club scene in Vancouver, playing the whole club circuit, just like how every band did. So, Craigslist every day, put an ad out there. I made a couple of demos, put it out there. Yeah, I actually met up with a couple other people too, but ultimately, this singer-songwriter, her name is Jess Cullen. She actually resides in LA now. She's working on her music career in LA now. So, um,
That that's
but yeah,
awesome. And that 6 years, that was, you were playing at a club called The Cellar, and the production was called Redine Productions, right?
yeah.
That's
So the
yeah.
Stellar, yeah. So I played with her for I believe 3 years. Three out of those 5 years that we had
What kind of
that we
style genre was it? Alternative or what was it?
she was very folky because she was
Okay.
from the countryside of Australia, right? So she was very folky, um, mixed in with pop and rock in it too. I brought in a little bit of a rock flavor to it, and all the other band members too at that time, because we went through a couple band member changes during the 3 years I was with her. So I stayed on probably the longest up until that point. And But yeah, we just played a little bit of everything. She had her first album that she released as well independently, and we just kind of did a lot of shows, and we did quite well in Vancouver for what were doing there. Yeah, the Cellar. So yeah, as far as the show at the Cellar, that was part of a showcase that we did. It's kind of like a battle of the bands. You know, you do your week, you get put in groups, and you do these shows on these nights, and if you make it through, then you go on to the semifinals and the finals. And the final prize was that you would get a slot to play at a huge music festival, like or all the big bands came to play. Right? It's a big festival. It's just like Coachella and stuff like that. Same kind of deal. And then you also get a couple little things. It was sponsored by like music companies, like music instrument companies. You would get a session or two with a local performance coach as well, which he's gonna up your game on your live show. So yeah, we did the whole thing, and we won that. We won that whole show. So
Wow, that's
it got
awesome.
yeah, and it got us a slot to play at a music festival called Squamish Music Fest, and we got to play, share the same stage with acts like Bruno Mars, Eminem, um, Arctic Monkeys, Walk Off the Earth, Arcade Fire, all those guys. They played at the
Chinu, this
same
is your
festival as
first
us.
experience, man.
Yeah, that was my first.
This is
Yeah,
your first experience to make it. A, get first place. B, have to play with these huge other black, or not collaborate or meet even. With all these huge
yeah.
Bruno Mars, etc. Tell us
That
your
was
experience.
exactly, yeah. So that was my first taste of being part of that music industry and seeing what it was like behind the stages. Not just attending, but getting that pass that says artist on it. You get to go backstage and see what it's like, see what these guys are like. Are they getting treated like celebrities back there, or are they just like how we are at our shows? Just kind of mingling amongst themselves. And you know what? For the most part, it was very much very close to the same as what we got going on backstage with our artists too. So, if some of the artists are thinking, is there more? There is, but we're pretty darn close. It's just that they have all the connections in place already, which we will too. Once we get it established, it's gonna be the same thing. And I got a taste firsthand, meeting the artists. I never got to meet Bruno Mars, or Eminem, or those big headliners, but some of the other guys, that perform Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. We got to hang out with them, have a beer with them backstage, and meet a couple of local producers too. Guys that worked with Brian Adams, Sarah McLachlan. I think her husband came backstage and talked to us, kind of thing. And so yeah, that was a huge taste of the music industry, of what life could be like if you were to continue that.
We're gonna talk about that too because things are coming to a wrap here. Chinu, what does it mean to be a Hmong man?
Among man, it means a lot of things, but at the same time, it's your perspective of that, right? Everyone has their own perspective of what it is to be a Hmong man. Like we all grew up differently. There's always going to be that one foundation as a Hmong man. You it is to be a good role model, be a good leader, lead the next the next set of generation of kids, um, and just learn from that first generation of parents that came here and see what they've done for us and kind of take take the next generation to that next step and make sure that we improve from what we were doing before. Right? So as far as me, being a musician and a Hmong man, all I can do is support everyone, right? Support everybody, um, and that's really it. There's no being bigger than anyone else, being devaluing anyone who's not a Hmong man, Hmong woman. Everyone's the same. Everyone has equal power. Everyone can do the same thing they really put their heart.
Did you know Chee Nou is a role model?
I did not know. I never saw myself as one. I never really planned it that way. I kind of just did my own thing and kind of preached that to everybody. Do your own thing, follow your dreams, and just do that. In a way, I think it was just me being my selfish self, and not having much resources here to get help from anybody. It was always on my own. So that's all I knew. So, if I could do it without anyone's, hands-on help, then anyone can do the same thing.
Because I had a personal DM like, hey man, could you have him teach us on YouTube how to guitar?
Oh,
I'm
really?
like,
Eh?
sure, I'll ask him.
Yeah.
So there you
I'm
go.
not the reason why we don't.
Did you have a fan?
Yeah, the reason why we're not quite there yet. We're working on it, actually. Me and Joe are actually working on a couple tutorials too.
No
So
way.
yeah, we'll be releasing a couple of those pretty soon. We're working on some what we call playthrough videos where I go and play through the whole song for you guys. You guys will see exactly everything I do, all the layers that we put in. Well, we're gonna go through that. We're working on stuff, you know, um, where we go over every single song in our album and kind of the background and everything like that. So it's coming. It's just my brother's a little occupied right now, right, with the baby. So I can't do as much. But it's in
But
the
hey,
works.
guess what? Guess what, listener? At the very end, I'm asking Chee Nou to grab his guitar and he's gonna riff and guitar a little bit out for us. So
All right,
stay
sounds
tuned
good,
for that
man.
because we are wrapping it to the end. And he's probably gonna grab his guitar. But one thing I want to ask him is, being a role model, you mentioned that. Can you give us an advice for someone who wants to be the next coming boy band or the next coming lead guitar just like yourself?
Yeah, absolutely, man. If you're starving to get out there, you want to get out there, you really want to do it. The main thing is your commitment. You can't get in there and work one day out of the six, or one day out of the 7 days only and expect that you're gonna make it. You gotta put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. You know, the bands that make it didn't just make it overnight. It's many, many years of actually doing it. So you gotta put in the same amount of work. Um, and everyone's got to start at the bottom. Start at the bottom, work your way up, and don't don't feel let down when times are tough. You got to keep pushing through. And if you're with the right set of people too, with the same mindset, then you guys will be able to help each other out to pull through it. Like for me, my band is made up of my sibling, so regardless of what we do, aside from music, we're all life partners as well. So um, that plays a big part as well. If you're with the right people, it's going to be a lot easier than being with the people that you don't want to be with and just not motivated. If they're not motivated, for sure it's not going to help you. So find something that you're really into, whether it's music, uh, outdoors, art, movies, anything that you want to do. It's the same application. Whatever you do in life, you really want to do it. You just got to put the time into it and do not stop. Right? Practice, practice, practice. It's not going to make it perfect, but it's going to definitely make you better. And being better is gonna put you up there.
Thank you so much for the wise word. Grab your guitar because I have one last question.
All
Because
right.
this
Okay. You
last
got it.
question is going to be, where are we going to find you and follow you? But grab your guitar, man. So for the
Sure.
listeners, I'm forcing this guy to grab his guitar and riff
I,
and jam out a little
I,
bit for us.
I had to go back home and get my guitar. So.
I know. I said this guy is I made him do it, and he did it. So I'm just blessed and heavy and super happy. Just for the fans and just for myself too. This guy went back to grab. Go ahead, just jam anything out, man. Just
All right, man. Well, thank you very much
anything,
yeah, thank you
anything.
very much for having me on this podcast. It was great chatting with you, and yeah, keep it going. Just one last word of advice. So just keep it going whatever you guys are doing. If you feel like something's not right, figure it out and make a change if you need to, right? If you're already on the right track, you got something going, just keep it going. Nothing wrong with that. All right. All right, let's do a little bit of jamming here. I don't know. What should I play? 问句怎么听呢？Something like that, right?
Rock on, man. Rock on. We appreciate your time. But last, where can we follow you? Where can our fan follow you and find you on social media anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me on my personal Facebook there. It's open for everybody. Just reach me. It's just my first name, Chee Nou. Split it up, Chee space Nou. If you want to reach me personally, but you can also reach me via the band website too. If you go on the Southern Rush official page, direct it. If there's any specific questions towards me, just direct it at me. And you can also find a lot of our material on YouTube as well. Music videos. Yeah, they're there all the time to answer any questions for anybody.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Rock on, brother.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Well, that ends our episode. If you haven't yet, visit our website at www.commiment.com or find us on Facebook, Moment Talk. Lastly, if you're listening on us on a podcast from Stitcher or Spotify, Google Play, or iTunes, please give us an honest rating. One last thing, we want to give a shout out and DJ Peter for allowing us to use their song and beats. Thank you so much. You can check them out on YouTube.